But what it should signal to Wall Street definitively that this is done. This was a complete and utter failure. We killed Star Wars. We couldn't even make a Star Wars hotel work because we don't know what we're doing. Disney's billion-dollar Star Wars hotel to become office space. This was rumored a while back. Now, if you remember, this is dealing with the Galactic Starcruiser, which, by the way, you got to remember, I'm in Orlando this week, and as this story was breaking, I am driving into Disney property, still chuckling at signs that say, "This way to Galactic Starcruiser" from the highway. Right? Like, oh, you have to change those signs. Just, now this way to random office space. But yeah, this was a $500 million disaster that just people seem to have glossed over. And again, I marvel, no pun intended, when I hear these same coverage analysts from the big Wall Street banks, sphincters pucker on these earnings calls when Comcast informs them that they're going to be spending an extra $150 million, oh my God, to market the opening of Epic Universe. And they have like 3 follow-up questions on how is this going to get spent, or when is this going to be spent, what quarter, what kind of impact is this going to have? But yet when Disney dumps a $500 million Star Wars turd like this, okay. But there's how many follow-up questions do we need on this? I don't know. I'd say more than Universal spending $150 million to promote Epic. It seems reasonable. It also goes to show that, and let's talk about this article here on TPP. Disney's ill-fated Star Wars Galactic Starcruiser, the overpriced and short-lived hotel experience that shut down after barely a year, will not be repurposed for guests, according to a rumor from The Wrap. It will instead reportedly transform into office space for Walt Disney Imagineering. Now, we didn't know who it was going to, but there were rumors months ago, I think maybe from you, certainly from I think, I believe Drunk 3PO talked about this, that there were rumors that, it might get scrapped, it might be turned into a warehouse. We heard about this a while back, but apparently now we've got confirmation. And it's not just about what they're doing, it's about what it signals. It's about what it should signal to not only every fan out there, but what it should signal to Wall Street definitively, what it should signal to shareholders of Disney definitively, that people may or may not yet be picking up on, okay? The pricey failure, which reportedly cost upwards of $1 billion. I don't know if that figure, there was a lot of speculation out there about what it cost. I think we knew at least $500 million. I don't know if the hotel itself was $1 billion. I know the park was $1 billion. And I think the hotel, we had talked about this before, was separate and apart from that, but it may have gone that high, although that seems like if they really spent that would be outrageous.
So I can tell you where that number's derived. It's my understanding, folks, and I cannot verify this. I don't have the data in front of me. My understanding is it was somewhere around $600 million for the initial build. Mm-hmm. And then that number cited from that Park Place, I believe, is taking into account the total cost of employing and
okay, so we're including operational costs.
Yeah.
Okay. And this is why, so this is why, so just to stipulate for the audience, when we talked about this on the earnings call, when Disney took these impairment charges related to this, they totaled up to around $500 million, if memory serves, somewhere in that realm, which you would not take an impairment charge, obviously, for operating costs, because that's just money going out the door as pros stipulated to pay employees. Those are costs that are 100% consumed at the time that they are expensed. So they're not amortized or depreciated over the course of time. When you take an impairment charge like this, Disney is saying, okay, we were going to depreciate the $500 or $600 million that we invested into this hotel, the CapEx, the capital expenditure into this, because it's a piece of real property. We have to amortize the cost of that. We can't take that whole $600 million or $500 million write-off upfront year one, because this is what the IRS rules say. The Internal Revenue Service here in the United States, for those of you who are from abroad watching us right now. But Disney, because they decided to close and shutter completely the hotel, seize operations, instead of stretching out that $500 million cost over, say, 10 or 15 or 20 years of amortization and depreciation, okay, they got to petition, essentially, the IRS to say, we're going to accelerate the depreciation. We're going to take it all off the books right now this year because this thing is dead. We closed it. We're going to take it as a loss right now. So that's what happened here.
Okay, let me ask you a question before you go any further, Valiant, because this is something I don't know, and I need to know from you. By the way, folks, before I ask the question, I just want to say I did my best. I poured my heart and soul into taking the Office intro for the TV show, from NBC with Steve Carell. I did everything I could.
I thought about the same thing. I know where you're going.
The intro and to put people like Kathleen Kennedy at Michael Scott's desk. I can't get the copyright cleared to do it. I was going to run it on my show. I can't make it. I'm so sorry. I wanted to do it. Okay, here's the question. The question, Valiant, is, so they depreciated the whole thing for tax purposes. Got it.
Yep.
Now they're going to use it as an office building.
Yep.
How's that impacted?
Well, essentially, they depreciated it for the purpose of its original intent, right? So they had a building they dumped $500 million into. It was probably owned by another one of the 2,000 Disney LLCs, which is normal, right? And they just cacked it. That was it. Now it's going to be, theoretically, they transfer it to Disney Galactic Office Space LLC, and now another company's going to have it. You could... That's more of a Mike question. I don't know if I don't think you really get to recapitalize it and then you'd be redepreciating. It's just going to be office space, right? You don't really need to do it. There's no operational income to the building anymore. They've already fully depreciated it. They can't, there's no backsies on that one insofar as I know.
I think they should invite us in. I think you and I are the perfect PR people. Clearly all the marketing and advertising Disney didn't work. So they should invite you and me. We'll walk in. We'll take a look at the new office space. We'll talk about the charm of the Chewbacca skin rug on the floor that you step over, which is an empty costume they've left behind. And I think it'll be a good time. We'll go in there, and the Imagineers can show us their bunk beds and where they're planning out the demise of Jim Henson's magnum opus, his wonderful Muppet Vision. Listen, Disney, you are missing out on a great opportunity. Invite me and Valiant down. We'll come in there. We'll help you out. We'll show off the great insights of Imagineering as they inhabit this corpse.
Well, I don't. Like I said, there's no income for this. Disney's not going to be. Well, they could in theory. They could. The office. Disney could lease office space from its other LLC and all this kind of stuff. But they're just looking for a place to put stuff. Now, this is from Josh D'Amaro and some of these other people involved. We say office space. It may wind up essentially just being a storage area with a couple of offices in it. They don't want to say it's going to be a warehouse because that sounds even worse.
I want to congratulate them. But I said it was going to be a Goodwill, and that was funny. This is funnier. They beat me. They put the Imagineers in their own destroyed corpse of an experience. It's worse than Goodwill. Good on you, Disney.
Make them suffer for it. Rumors previously suggested that Disney might repurpose parts of the Starcruiser for a Star Wars-themed dining experience using the lavishly built sets for a more accessible dinner theater-style attraction. However, the Wrap sources now indicate the building will not be open to the public at all. The logistics of repurposing the Starcruiser into a dining venue were likely too cumbersome. The facilities in a backstage area required specially designed shuttles to transport guests. The inefficient transportation and secluded location made it impractical for an attraction open to regular parkgoers.
And we got to say here, so that the audience knows this, why is it located where it is? Because they cheaped out.
Right.
Because the Star Wars area originally, allegedly, but originally, was supposed to be where they put the parking lot, but that's between Hollywood Studios and this hotel. However, they were so cheap that they said, whatever Disneyland gets, we're going to clone it. Well, it didn't fit in that spot. So they had to put it somewhere else. So now there's this giant parking lot for cast members that's in between the theme park and the hotel, which means that it's off on its own little island. The other thing about this that needs to be said, Valiant, I want everybody to know just how much Disney hates you and me. And I mean it. This hotel, they can reopen it tomorrow. They can reopen this tomorrow. All they have to do is put Luke, Leia, Han, Darth Vader, Yoda in the hotel. Guess what? It'll sell out, and it will sell out for 4 years. So long as it's not woke, it's not a joke, it sticks to what George Lucas wanted. It has the original trilogy stuff. It never references the sequels. It will sell out for 4 years. They will have so much money, they won't be able to handle it all, and they don't want it. They don't want your money. They don't want the success, because that is in contradiction to what they believe should be. And if they have to have a shuttered corpse, like a tauntaun in the cold that they're putting themselves in to stay warm, if they have to have a shuttered corpse to put their Imagineers in instead of a highly successful Star Wars hotel, so be it. That's what they'll do.
Well, what I was going to say on this was mostly that. I mean, it's the fact that they had a chance to do this right. They didn't want to do it right, because here's the kicker for this, kids. This is what this is all about right here, is that this is Disney admitting that their version of Star Wars absolutely 100% failed, and they don't want to admit it. They don't want to do what Pro is talking about. And that's kind of I think the theme of this whole crap show is that the fact that they could have done this, and we all knew what the recipe was. Everybody on YouTube, every real Star Wars fan out there knew what the recipe for success was here. But they refused to do it, at least when it was implemented, right? We all remember the stories of how the Imagineers, the old school Imagineers at Disney, who have largely been run off, thanks to things like DEI, that they had a vision for Galaxy's Edge. They had a vision for the Starcruiser, and that vision was George Lucas Star Wars. It was supposed to be Hoth and Endor and Tatooine. Now you've got Batuu. Still, Batuu has not been put in a movie or a TV show yet.
But it's based on, in the timeline, it's based on The Last Jedi.
Yeah. And what you have here is this hotel that is an absolute dumpster fire. And again, instead of Disney actually repurposing this and trying to keep something of it Star Wars, hey, we can still run a hotel here. We can still make this work if we shift gears. Let's give this a shot. They didn't even want to give it a shot, to try to go back to Luke, Han, and Leia before they closed it. I realized they would have had to pumped in a significant amount of money to kind of reskin a few things, retrain new actors, new shows, and things like this. They would have had to have invested some capital, but it probably would have done much better. But the fact that they have now officially closed this thing down, Disney has stated at this point definitively that this is done. This was a complete and utter balls-up failure. We killed Star Wars. We couldn't even make a Star Wars hotel work because we don't know what we're doing. Now, Disney can't shut down Galaxy's Edge as easily. Guess where I'm going tonight when I close this stream? I'm going to Hollywood Studios because that's where my kid is going to be with her dance team if you missed this portion at the beginning of the show. So we got to wrap up in about an hour, but that's where I'm headed. I'll remind folks that last year, when I did this exact same show from Orlando when I was here last year for the UDA National Dance Competition, it was the same weekend as MegaCon, we had the same UDA party after hours in Hollywood Studios. The first place I went to, because my daughter and her team, they all wanted to go stand in line for an hour and a half to do Tower of Terror together. I didn't care about that. I said, while you girls are doing that, because we had plenty of parents and other chaperones there, I said, I'm going to go trot off to go to Galaxy's Edge because I've never been in there. It was a ghost town. You could have shot a cannon through there. And this park was riddled with 10,000 high school and college girls and all this kind of stuff or whatever. There wasn't not a one of them walked into Galaxy's Edge. None of them gave a damn about that place. They didn't give a damn about Rey. They didn't give a damn about Star Wars. They didn't give a damn about any of it. It was a ghost town. And guess what? Rise of the Resistance was broken. Couldn't even ride it. I don't know if it's open today, but if I go back tonight and it's broken again, y'all will hear from me. Because I want to ride it, even though I think it's probably crap. I mean, the Han Solo ride was absolute garbage. The Millennium Falcon, not Han Solo, excuse me, he wasn't even there. The Millennium Falcon ride was absolute trash. And I said this last year, if you remember, I said, if I'd had to wait 90 minutes or 2 hours to get on that thing, somebody would have died.
Well, you heard they're changing that to Mandalorian. So that's going to be Mandalorian now.
It doesn't matter. It's still a crappy ride.
Oh, I totally agree. And by the way, the reason it's a crappy ride is because in the original plans, they were going to do this thing. It was a 3D simulator, glassless 3D, where you sat in one of those pod racers and you raced with your family and all that. Well, they took the technology and they turned it into the Millennium Falcon, but the interactive part of that is just gone. Like, nobody cares about looking away from the screen and pressing these dinky little buttons to play it. It's just it's a horrible setup.
It was absolutely terrible.
Hey, Valiant, would you do me a favor? Please don't get arrested tonight. I don't want. I know you're planning to chain yourself to Muppet Vision in honor of Jim Henson. Don't do it, man. You've got more to live for.
I don't even know if that was on the list of things that's going to be open tonight.
Make sure you're subscribed to Valiant Renegade and join us every Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern for the live show.